G'day there, Ray Corcoran from dentalbusinesscoaching.com. In this week's video, we're going to talk about two things that will radically transform the customer experience in your practice. So the two techniques I'm going to talk about today, one is the service cycle and two is the TBar. So where I got these concepts from, there was a guy called Jan Carlson and he became the CEO of Scandinavian Airlines in 1981. And basically what happened was the company was going really bad. It was hemorrhaging money, customer service was terrible, it was just in a bad shape and it wasn't looking good. And he joined the company, his job was basically to turn it all around. And in short, he did that. And by the time he left in 1994, it was a highly profitable company, things were going amazing. And a large part of the turnaround was a thing called moments of truth. And that ties into this concept I'm going to talk to you about now, which is the first one, which is a service cycle. So the service cycle is basically what Jan figured out is that a customer is going to have multiple interactions with your company, during any experience with you. So, for example, for Scandinavian Airlines, the conversation usually started when someone called to make a booking for a flight, and it usually the service cycle would end when someone grabs their bags and goes, leaves the airport. So basically what they did is, you can do this yourself, is basically map out what are all the different little moments that happen between someone first interacting with your business and then from the final point to when they interact with your business. And you map all those out, and that's called the service cycle. So what you need to think about here is, all these little moments. What they did at Scandinavian Airlines is they only tried to improve each of these points by 2%. So it wasn't, they didn't try to dramatically overhaul anything. They just tried to make small improvements over a wide variety of things. And they just did it in groups. And basically what you can do in your practice is start with, you could start with, when someone makes a phone call to your practice. That's one moment. And then the final moment might be when they walk out the door of the practice. And then you just got to mark every little moment that happens, every little thing the customer would experience up until the point that they leave. Now, that's the service cycle, which is the first concept. Now, the second concept is the TBar. So the TBar is basically, we pick a handful of these moments and then we get a piece of paper out and we just do a T on it and divides the page into two columns. Now, the first column, you just write what would happen in an average experience for that moment. And then on the other side, we do what would happen on an absolutely amazing experience. So, for example, when someone calls your practice, you write down, what would the call be like if it was just an average normal phone call. In the second column, you write, what would a phone call be like if you were trying to blow people away. And basically, so you write the average, the average experience and then the amazing experience, and you do that for about, you can pick about 5 to start with, and then from there, you basically look at the gap between all these particular moments, and what's the difference between average and amazing, and you pick these 5 moments, and then from there you can create an action plan on how to improve the customer experience. And the thing is, you only need to increase, we're only trying to improve each of these moments. You're only trying to improve the phone call, the first phone call, by just a small few percent. But the thing is, when you improve all these little bits by 5%, adds up to a huge difference between a customer going to one practice as opposed to your practice. And there's going to be a noticeable difference the whole way through the service cycle. So that's something I want you to think about in your own practice. Think about how you can implement that. Map out your own service cycle. See what that looks like, and you'll start to see pretty quickly. One thing I work on with my clients is really mapping out the service cycle and looking for opportunities. The initial phone call might not be that good. The website may not look that good on first impression. There's a whole bunch of different things we can improve just incrementally, which will result in a whole different experience for your customer. And when they have that amazing experience, they're going to keep coming back and they're going to be really happy, experiencing your practice. So it's just something to think about this week. Map out your own service cycle, do a few T-bars for a few of the key moments, and turn that into an action plan. And it'll make a huge impact on the customer experience in your practice. So hope that helped. If you liked the video, feel free to like it. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear if you've already implemented this in your practice. Would love to hear about how it went and what difference you saw as you did it. But that's all for this week. So have a good one, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.